All right. Hello, hello, spooky crew. Hello, everybody. Trying something a little different today. So if you are here, say hi. Talk to me in the chat. I think you should be able to talk to me in the chat. I hope so. This is the first time I'm doing a live stream on Facebook through StreamYard, as you could probably see in the logo up in the corner. But yeah, come say hello, and I will be watching the chat as well. Hopefully, I can see the chat. If not, I will make sure I can. Yeah, I hope everyone's having a nice Monday evening. And yeah, so lots of stuff happening right now. Lots of things happening. So I'm gonna test the chat really quick. Testing. Let's see if that pops up. All right. So I see I got a couple viewers, which is awesome. So welcome, welcome. My apologies for not having a recorded video tonight. Life has gotten very. There we go. Oh hey, okay, there we go. Hey, there we go. Across your videos a few weeks ago, I binge watched so many since then. Oh, that's awesome. Thanks. I'm glad you're enjoying my videos. That's amazing. Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad you're enjoying them. Yeah, so what's cool with StreamYard is I can actually feature video, comments on here. So that's why I really like it. I use it mainly on Facebook, but I'm decided to try it with YouTube. So yeah. So, like I said, everyone, my apologies for not having a recorded video tonight. So my life has definitely gone through a lot of changes lately. It's all good changes. All good changes. So I'm actually going to announce it in next week's video, but since for the two people that are here, your reward for showing up. So I'm actually going to be moving to Arlington, Virginia in about 8 weeks, maybe less now. Yeah, actually 6 weeks. It's more like 6 weeks. I'm moving up to Arlington, Virginia, literally going to be living right across the river from Washington D.C. So, I've accepted a job offer from a really big company up there, and yeah, so it's a lot of changes. So this is why my content has been such a hot mess for the past month. It was probably the most intense interview process that I've ever been through in my career. Thank you, Enoka Edenfield. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm also terrified too. It's a big change. Thankfully, my fiance is on board. When I told him about it, he was like, "Yeah, let's go." So, but yeah, this is why my content has been such a hot mess for the past month. Yeah, like I said, this has been probably. Oh, thank you, under the blessing tree. Thank you. Yeah, so it was probably, like I said, the craziest interview process that I've ever been through. And it was one of those things where I was like, well, if I get it, I get it. If not, if I don't, I don't, because I am very happy at my current soon to be previous company, like beyond happy with them. And I love my team and they're so great. And this company, the new company, gave me an offer that I really couldn't refuse. So and they have some amazing benefits that will really matter to my fiance and I, especially when it comes to our future and building our family. It's a big change, and I honestly didn't expect it to come around. So, so that's actually the big news. I'm going to announce it in next week's video. I took some B-roll video when I was in DC. Uh, Weird thing that happened. So I was up in Brunswick, Maryland this past weekend for a paranormal investigation, and I figured, well, while I'm up there, since Brunswick is just an hour away from Arlington, I was like, you know what? I should just go and check out Arlington and, see if I can get an apartment and everything. And I got an apartment, and while I was there, I was like, well, I'm only across the river from DC. I'm gonna go visit some memorials. And I went to the Japanese American World War II memorial, which was very emotional for me. Um, Very emotional because some of you may know I'm a quarter Japanese. My grandfather served in World War II. His family were all in the internment camps. So that's a very sensitive subject for me. And couldn't really get to it because they were doing construction. So I took a picture of it from across the street. But then I'm like, let's go to the Lincoln Memorial. And I got a crash course in parking in Washington, D.C. It's non-existent. But I did make it to the Washington, or not Washington, to the Lincoln Memorial, and did some B-roll of the Lincoln Memorial for next week's video. And then I went to and then I did some like video, and I took photos of Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, specifically the Gettysburg Address. And hey Lindy, hey Katsuka. Hello, hello. Yeah, so and then after that, I was heading to Brunswick, and then after I met my team member up there, we decided, hey, let's go up to Gettysburg because Gettysburg was only an hour away. It's like, why not? Let's go to Gettysburg. So we went to Gettysburg, and hey, real robot cats. Hi. So we went up to Gettysburg, and I gave my friend, my team member, Jason, I gave him like the abridged version of the Gettysburg tour. And I actually didn't get any B-roll of Gettysburg, but I took a lot of pictures. So I'll show those in next week's video too. I took him to Devil's Den. We went to the Farnsworth house for dinner. We drove by the Jenny Wade house in the orphanage. Drove by the McCurdy schoolhouse and the farmhouse where, my mom came through on the spirit box. Really just hey, this is like the 3-hour version of Gettysburg. And while we were sitting at dinner at the Farnsworth house, the Farnsworth house, lots of history there. It was standing during the Battle of Gettysburg. And there was a little like historical paper like on the menu, on like the placemat. And my team member's looking down, and he's like, oh, today's the anniversary of the Gettysburg Address. November 19th. And I'm sitting here like, no way. Absolutely no way. So we we were in Gettysburg on the anniversary of the Gettysburg Address. And I also went to the Lincoln Memorial and took a photo of like the Gettysburg Address in the memorial. That was so weird for me. Like, and I honestly, I have so much going on in my life right now that I didn't even realize what day it was. I mean, and so I need to like my history card is revoked, honestly. But yeah, so it was the craziest thing. So weird synchronicity there. We didn't do it on purpose. I didn't even choose the date of the investigation. Our investigation in Brunswick was on the 20th. I came up the day before, to look for an apartment and everything. And yeah, it was just you messed up, didn't you? Part of the there we go. Oh no. Okay. Why am I buffering? Okay. Connection is unstable. Okay. We shouldn't be unstable. We're good now? We're good now? Yeah, my cat has a crooked tail. And so it's a very strong tail. And sometimes when it gets looped around, the kitties are sabotaging me. So when Chloe's tail loops around a wire, she can actually unplug my router if she hits it at the right angle. And she knows that she can. And it drives me crazy. But anyway, so long story short, I made it to Gettysburg on the anniversary of the Gettysburg Address, and I visited the Lincoln Memorial on the day of the Gettysburg Address on the anniversary. So crazy thing. So I see Anurag. Hello. Um, and let's see. Okay, so I do have a couple of questions here that I'm going to highlight. Vacation Disney, Disney, I see you. I remember my first paranormal experience. It was at a theater that was a morgue and or funeral home back in the day. Saw a huge shadow thing with little red eyes. Ooh, yeah, that would freak me out. That would freak me out. Let's see. Under the blessing tree, you have a great question. So yes, Katsuka, I do. My cat's name is Chloe, but she snuggles like a teddy bear, so we call her Chloe Bear. All right. How is this going to affect your ghost hunting life? That is a great question. Uh so if anything, it's going to improve my ghost hunting life, if that makes sense. Because um I'm only going to be 90 minutes from Gettysburg. I'm only going to be 90 minutes away from Gettysburg, so I'll be able to do a lot more paranormal investigating up there. A lot of the northeast locations are going to be way more accessible to me now. So, because I mean, because I live in North Carolina, so going someplace like the Hinsdale House in New York, I think it's in New York. Daniel, are you watching? So that place is like 12 hours away from me where I live right now. So, in my ghost hunting life, I think it's going to improve it, to be honest. I think it's going to make a lot of locations just more accessible for me. Like the Brunswick Heritage Museum that I was just at this weekend, that's only going to be like 45 minutes away from me. Gettysburg's 90 minutes away. I think there's a few other Virginia and Maryland locations that are going to be more accessible. So I think it's going to make it better. I think I don't know if I'm going to embed myself into the local DC paranormal community though. Just because I don't know how it is in DC yet. I have to really feel it out. I really have to feel it out. Because I know here in North Carolina, it's kind of like it's a territorial thing down here in North Carolina. Like there are teams that have their stake on a location and no one else can get into it. And finding like the bigger places to go investigate is very difficult. So I don't know if I'm going to really embed myself into the DC Arlington paranormal world. I mean I think I may do like a ghost tour or a ghost walk just to see what's um just to see what's there because that's a lot of history there. I mean it's our nation's capital, and Old Town Alexandria was played a huge role in American history, so I'm sure there's stuff there. Now in terms of my team, I'm going to have two team members still in North Carolina, so my team is not going anywhere. It's just we're just going to be changing the structure a little bit. So Association of Paranormal Study, that's my team. They're going to keep going in North Carolina, and we're going to expand to Virginia. I actually just accepted a new team member who's actually been a longtime friend of mine. She lives in Fredericksburg, Virginia, which would be an hour and a half, 2 hours away from me in Arlington. But she never joined the team because like she was like 5 hours away. But now that she's just like a drive away, she's like, hey, I can join now. And I'm like, you're right, you can join. So there's going to be two team members in Virginia, two members in North Carolina. So, let's see. Let's see. Lindy, have you ever been to Bobby Mackey's bar? No, I have not actually. I do want to visit it though. I've heard a lot about it. A lot of my paranormal friends who've been there say that it's like not as like spooky as TV makes it out to be. But I want to see it for myself because I mean it's a famous paranormal landmark, so why not? Let's give it a try. Oh, let's see. How is the traffic in DC? I can feel anxiety asking this question. So it it lives up to its reputation. As literally. So when I was in Arlington, traffic was a little heavy, but I'm from San Diego and I used to live in LA once upon a time. I lived in LA a few times because trying to be a working actor and everything. So I'm used to like LA traffic, and Southern California traffic can be pretty intense. Yeah. So it's so I'm used to traffic, but The traffic in DC is a whole other beast, like literally. So traffic in Arlington was a little heavy, but it was doable. I'm like, oh, this isn't bad. Literally, I'm on the bridge and I'm crossing into DC and traffic just stops. Like it just stops. And I'm like, oh, this is the infamous traffic. And plus, they're doing construction all over DC right now. Like I could not see like half of the stuff I wanted to see because there was construction and they were blocking parking, or it was sending me into like completely different directions. So I think after we move, if we want to go to DC, we may end up taking the metro. But I also heard that the metro can be a little sketch. So we'll see. We'll see. Let's see. Do you want to visit the Cecil Hotel? Are you talking about the Cecil Hotel in LA? If it's the LA one, I've actually already visited it. I wasn't there when, actually, talking about synchronicities here, I was there maybe like a week before Elisa Lam stayed there. Because she went to San Diego first. So it's kind of weird with the whole Elisa Lam thing. She was in San Diego when I was. Okay. Buffering, buffering. Mm. Mm-mm-mm. Okay, I think we're good. Yeah, Chloe Bear wasn't even in here this time, but Zoe's meowing. So, yeah, so with the Cecil Hotel, so I've been there. I've been there. It's a little creepy, but I think a lot of the hype around it, I think it's unwarranted. I mean, it's a creepy hotel. I mean, it is a creepy hotel, even just in normal person standard. I mean, it's not well taken care of. It's a cheap place to stay. There's been a lot of turbulent things that have happened there since it opened. So it definitely has like a weird energy to it, but I don't think there's a demon in there. I think it's more of just like a manifestation of negative emotions, negative feelings, negative energy. It's just got. I mean, and the bad and Lindy, you're absolutely right. It's in a really bad area of LA. Like I drove by there and I was like, ugh. So the Cecil Hotel is not the place to stay. Like if you're ever like in LA and you want to stay somewhere, it's definitely not a good location. Now, if I had the ability to go investigate it, maybe I would do it. I just think though, I think a lot of the hype that's being created around it, especially surrounding the death of Elisa Lam, I find it really disrespectful. And I find that I think it kind of makes a spectacle of Elisa's death. Because at the end of the day, her death is perfectly explainable. She was extremely ill mentally, and she wasn't taking her meds uh because she wanted to fully experience LA, and it just led to really bad things happening. So but I just feel like that the way that paranormal media treats Elisa Lam's death is really disrespectful, especially to her family who really value privacy. Her family is extremely private. So I think if there can be a balance that can be met there, with investigating the Cecil Hotel without exploiting Elisa Lam, I'm open to it. I'm open to it. So, uh, yeah, it's I know I don't have the most popular opinion about the Cecil Hotel. I think like I said a minute ago, I feel like a lot of the activity there can be chalked up to, I think it's just like a manifestation of all the tragedy that's happened there, all the negative feelings that have happened there. As Lindy said, the illicit substances. I'm using the rated G version of these terms because I don't want YouTube to flag this because it happens. Um, yeah, yeah. So those are my thoughts on the Cecil Hotel. Let's see. Oh, you grew up in Huntington Beach, Lindy. Nice. Yeah. Under the Blessing Tree. Have you ever been to the Thomas House here in Tennessee? I have not. That is actually on my paranormal wish list. I don't call it a bucket list. I call it a wish list. Yeah, I've had so I've had several friends investigate the Thomas House, or they've been to the Thomas House, and every time each person has called off the investigation early because like things were getting thrown, things were getting intense, and these are all separate friends who don't know each other and they don't talk to each other. And so I find that extremely fascinating. So I would love to visit the Thomas House. Um, is it open to investigations? I guess it is because I've had several friends do it. So yeah, that's definitely one of my wish list locations, if that makes sense. So that's a good question. That's a good question. I'm hoping that since I'll be moving a little bit further up north, I'll be able to explore more locations and you know enjoy the enjoy the location and the history and everything. So, yeah. Ash, this is a beautiful comment. Agreed. Elisa Lamb's story is so sad. Watching the video clips of her in the elevator honestly saddens me. I hope her family is doing as well as they can be. Same, same. I'm a part of a few Facebook groups of internet sleuths about Elisa Lamb's case, and it's a it's a tragedy. It's just a tragedy. So, oh, under the blessing tree. You were at the Thomas house 3 weeks ago. Pretty quiet. Interesting. Um, that's interesting. Okay, I have to acknowledge this comment. Ouija board is not a horror ritual. I have a very unpopular opinion about a Ouija board. I don't think they're scary at all. I think you get what you want out of a Ouija board. I don't see them any differently from an EVP session. I use a Ouija board on a regular basis. I've even made a few Ouija boards. Actually, that's something I really enjoy with like the wood burning and everything. So I feel like the Ouija board has totally like it's been distorted. I mean, the history of it was an old parlor game. It was an old parlor trick. And then a bunch of investors saw potential in the spirit board. They saw potential with it and they patented the Ouija board. So the Ouija board is just a spirit board. That's like the trademark commercialized version of it. You can actually find spirit boards all over the place, and then the history of it, you can find it all over the place. Literally, it's just a board. It's just a board, and then of course we have the idiometer effect. I always say idometer, and it's not idometer; it's the idiometer effect. Pronunciation not great. I feel like that does have a lot to do with it. Oh, Meg, the podcast with Robert Murch and Ricker Mortis Shrek. That's a great episode. So if you want to learn more about the Ouija board, I highly recommend looking up the Talking Board Historical Society. It's I think Robert Murch is the president of it. Anyway, he's a big name associated with the board. He consulted on the Ouija movie. It's a great organization. Ouija boards get a bad name in part thanks to Hollywood. Yeah, Hollywood has a lot to do with that. And of course we have these like random YouTube videos that are showing like demons with Ouija boards. No. Like I said, you get what you want to get out of it. Hey Sarah. Wow, it is hopping tonight. I am excited. It is hopping. Yeah. Yeah, so Ouija boards, I have a very unpopular opinion about it because I think they're fine to use. Now, if there's a location that says, "Hey, no Ouija boards," obviously respect that. And I also have to respect that not everyone is comfortable with it. And so I don't just like push it onto people, especially in investigations. I'll just say, hey, are you comfortable with this? If you're not, we won't use it. Because that's the key thing. Don't ever force yourself to use a Ouija board if you're not comfortable with it, because that kind of aids in the whole spooky feelings and negative feelings about it. Hi, Brian. Hello, hello. So lots of people here tonight. Man, I might have to do these lives more often. So I know I'm not normally made up like I am in the videos, but I really wanted to do some kind of video tonight, since I didn't make one this weekend. So, yeah. So Ouija boards, I would say do as much research as you can on it. Look up the history. Look up practices that people what people do when they use a board. I will usually just kind of open up with just saying, "Hey, just here to say hello, and I don't mean you any harm. Don't mean me any harm." Now, the other thing I will do though, and I highly recommend that you do this to kind of prevent false positives, have at least two other people use the Ouija board, but whoever is asking the questions, hands off the Ouija board. They're not touching it. They're not touching it. So let's say I'm asking the Ouija board questions. I'm not touching the board, but I have other people who are, so that I'm not influencing the answers that come through. I think that it's an interesting research experiment too. I've seen people get absolute hits from that where they say, "Hey, what was my mom's first name?" And it's a group of strangers with their hands on the planchette, and then they spell the person's mother's name and they didn't know them. So I think that's fascinating for me. There's a Ouija board documentary called Yes, No, Goodbye. I think it's called Yes, No, Goodbye. And they did something very similar where they actually had, I think, 3 or 4 people on the board. And then the person that was asking the questions was actually speaking in Spanish. And the other people who had their hands on the planchette, they didn't speak Spanish at all. But yet they were spelling Spanish words. So I think that's interesting. I think there might be something to it. So, but definitely, make sure, at least for me, this is my personal ritual with the talking board. I move the planchette to goodbye and I close the circle. I've also not closed the circle and nothing's happened. So I've used a Ouija board on Halloween in 2020. Hellmouth did not open up. My friend's house is still standing and not haunted. So I think the board is relatively harmless. Now, if you're going to go in and thinking that you're going to meet a demon, then yeah, you might run into something negative, or anything that could happen is going to freak you out because you've primed yourself to expect that. So, that's my unpopular opinion about the board. Let's see. Have you been to the Warrens Occult Museum? I have not. I have mixed feelings about the Warrens. Personally, I have some I have some mixed feelings about them. I think that there's some good that Ed and Lorraine that they have contributed to the field, but I also think that they've contributed a lot of bad to the field. Um, Especially if you're not a Christian. Um, if you're not a Christian and you're not Catholic, uh, or if you don't believe in demons. I'm the longer that I've been in the paranormal, the less I believe in demons. Just full disclosure out there. I would like to go to the Warrens Occult Museum because I mean honestly, it's part of our history. I would like to go just to see everything, but I don't know if they would even let me in. I've been very vocal about my feelings about the Warrens. Um, there is some questionable history too with Ed as well, without going into too many details. Look up, let me make sure I get this name right. Yeah. Look up the name Judith Penny and Ed Warren. I'm not going to say it just because it's speculation. I will say it's speculation. Yeah. Yeah, that's all I'll say about that. Here's another question. So, the Dybbuk box is not real. The Dybbuk box is not real. Actually, Kevin Mannis, one of the first owners of the Dybbuk box, he fully admitted to making it up. So the Dybbuk box is not real. Also, so a Dybbuk box is not real. A Dybbuk box is not real. I highly recommend you look up a podcast called Jew Witches. I'll put it in the chat. So she is a Jewish witch, and she's covered a lot of content about the Dybbuk box. And actually, I'll be honest, the Dybbuk box is a very anti-Semitic thing. It's people who have been trying to the Jewish community has been trying to. Oh, am I buffering? Cameron thought Dybbuk boxes were a real thing. He got spooked. Oh no. Yeah, so I definitely recommend looking up Jew witches and that podcast. So the Jewish community has been very outspoken about Dybbuk boxes. So a Dybbuk there is such thing as a Dybbuk, but it's not a demon. Normally a Dybbuk is like a part of a person's soul. And it can't be trapped into a box. A Dybbuk usually attaches to a living thing like a person or an animal. So yeah, so Dybbuk boxes, not real. If you see them being sold on eBay, they're not real. They're a load of crap. So yeah. And I definitely recommend looking up the Jew Witches podcast. I think her first episode is all about that. She has a website too. That's trying to educate people. Unfortunately, she has been met with a lot of anti-Semitism trying to correct this false narrative about Dybbuks and Dybbuk boxes. And then the nail on the head was when Kevin Mannis, the man who created the story, he said, "Yeah, I made it all up. I made it all up." So, and he said, "I would pay someone $100,000 to find traces of a Dybbuk box before, like, I think he said before like the year that he made up the box." So, yeah. Yep. So, in case you didn't know, then now you know. Dybbuk boxes, not real. And Dybbuks are a completely different thing than what Hollywood has told us. So let's see. I can respect that. Yeah, demons, very, very, very rare. Like I said, I'm in the camp of I don't think they're real. I think there can be inhuman. I think there can be inhuman spirits that can be pretty nasty, but there's also human spirits that can be pretty nasty. Cameron thought Dybbuk boxes were a real thing. He got spooked. That's funny. Now, would you ever go to Zach Bagan's Haunted Museum in Vegas? I would. Actually, full disclosure, I make fun of the guy all the time on TikTok. I would not mind meeting him. I want to meet the man behind Zach Bagan's. Like, I wouldn't mind meeting him, actually. I would love to sit down and like have dinner with him and just say, "Hey, let's talk, let's talk. I want to, know your story and why you do what you do." Because yeah. Yeah, I totally would. If I can get in, I totally would. I would go. Because yeah. Now I know there's some controversy with the Haunted Museum, like with some of the things that Zach has in the museum and how he acquired some of the objects. Nothing culturally insensitive as far as I know, but I think it's like something to do with like the respect of like victims and their families, I think. Something like that. I don't know. I'll have to look it up, but 100%, yes, I would. Yes, I would. Yeah, elementals. Yeah, I think elementals could kind of describe or explain the whole demon thing. I'll be honest. That's just my personal opinion. The beauty of the paranormal community is like, this is my theory. I always say ghost theory when I can't my glasses are filthy. I always say ghosts. I donated blood a couple hours ago, so no one be alarmed. I'm fine. I was a little dizzy and nauseous after I donated blood, but thought I'd just put it out there right now. Not doing drugs, not doing anything like that. just donated blood. um, to the American Red Cross. Yeah, so yeah, early in my paranormal career, I was totally like, oh yes, demons. Especially when I was a Christian. I'm not Christian anymore. I'm not Christian anymore. I'm more of the um spiritual. I mean, I even hesitate to call myself a witch. I mean, I do energy work and I do spell work, but I don't know. I just don't give myself that title. I don't like titles. I'm just kidding. Where's my hipster glasses? um, yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm kind of a spiritual enigma. I don't know what I am. I'll hear like a theory and I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So, oh, I can see now. Awesome. Let's see. Do not poke elementals, especially anything that's like nature based. Like, don't do it. Don't do it. Um, this is an interesting question. Has there been a movie or series that has represented the paranormal accurately? um, so like for me, I think the closest movie I think that we have that I can and then I'm like, oh, yeah, that could be something. That could be something is the others with Nicole Kidman. Uh I freaking love that movie. I think that could be like the closest thing we have to maybe a glimpse to what the paranormal world is really like. Um a series I don't like to talk about it. Well, it's not that I don't like to talk about it. I don't know. If you all know my history with PRS and Ryan Buell, you know why. Paranormal State, I think, was probably one of the most accurate portrayals of the field. And I worked for PRS for a couple years, which is why I'm like, so I had a front row seat to most of Ryan Buell's shenanigans. Um, but I think that series was probably one of the closest. Now, were there some things embellished and exaggerated? Definitely, it's television, but I think when it comes to like the process and the research and everything, I think that was the closest. And for its time, it was also one of the most diverse shows as well. So that's a good question. I have not, Brian. Shame on me. I have not seen the new Ghostbusters movie. I was going to see it tonight, but then donating blood and all that stuff just kind of got in the way. So I think I'm going to try to see it tomorrow. Plus my fiance has been under the weather. He has a diverticulitis flare up that's not making him feel good right now. So, yeah, I'm planning on seeing it. I've heard a lot of good things about it. There's a paranormal page that I follow that's been posting spoilers, and I had to like first I unfollowed and then I had to unlike because they were actually showing screen caps from the movie that are huge spoilers, and I was like, oh no. I've heard really good things about it. Some of my friends who are total ghost heads have loved it. So that to me that for me that's very promising. Um it's very, very promising. Yeah. So, yeah, feel free to ask any questions. Keep asking questions. These are wonderful. I'm planning on going until about 10 o'clock p.m. Mostly because work. I have to get up tomorrow morning and I have to work my last couple weeks of my current job. Yeah, so yeah, ask questions. Oh, it's let's see. Brian says good movie to see. That's awesome. Oh, wrong one. Oh, it's good, Alex. Afterlife is legit. Good. I'm glad to hear that. I mean, the trailer freaking made me cry. It was so many so many moments. Anyway, new book. I do have a new book out. Well, new-ish. It came out first weekend in October. One Bed Over, a hospital haunting. That's my newest book. I'm working on two books right now. I did get one book picked up by a small press publisher, and that's actually a fiction book. I haven't been able to touch it at all though because life has been crazy. Uh, that's probably going to come out 2023, maybe 2024, because the publishing world moves very slowly. I am working on a nonfiction book about a haunted place in North Carolina that I frequented often. I'm actually going to try to visit this location a few more times because I need to. I absolutely need to. Um, so yeah, because I want to get that book written. That's like my goal. So yeah, that's pretty much it with when it comes to my when it comes to my writing. So yeah, good stuff. Good stuff, I think. I think. I'll find out when these books come out. And it's funny because I took on all of these like North Carolina based projects and now I'm like, oh, I'm moving now. Oops. Oops. So um yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Let's find out. Has Chris ever thought about or come on an adventure with you? That would be wild. Okay, yeah. So, in 2019, yes, 2019, my team was did a month-long like guided ghost tours of this haunted location in Fayetteville, North Carolina. It's the Sanford House in Heritage Square. So it was basically your typical like, oh, here's a K2 meter, here's the history of the house, and you have 30 minutes, that kind of thing. And I was grossly short on help, like very short on team members being able to help. So I actually ended up recruiting Chris to help me out for two of the nights. So Chris is not like a paranormal person at all. He's like your normal guy. I call him a paranormal widower because I'm gone on the weekends ghost hunting and oh man, when we started getting activity, there was this building. It's called the Oval Ballroom, and the story with that is it's haunted by a woman named Ann K. Simpson, and she killed all three of her husbands by poisoning. She got away with it the first time because she was so beautiful that she swayed the jury. Like, no, surely no one that beautiful could do something so heinous. And then she left the state. Another husband died under mysterious circumstances. She still got away with it. But then the third husband died under mysterious circumstances. And I guess Anne wasn't as beautiful as she used to be because time had gone by, but she was actually found guilty this time. And so she was hanged, she was hung, she died by the rope, unalived by the rope. and and then her body was brought back to North Carolina, and her mom buried her in some unknown plot. And then apparently, like in the 80s, 90s, they found her remains while they were like building a mall. Supposedly, her remains were taken away by his local historical society. And the guy who ran the historical society brought her skull back to the Oval Ballroom. And apparently, that's where her spirit remains. Now, there have been some really freaky pictures taken, especially if you take a picture of the mirror in the Oval Ballroom. Like people have seen a shadow of a woman with an elongated neck. I don't know how many of you have seen somebody after they've been on the rope, but they're, especially if their neck breaks and it separates from their body, the skin will stretch and they will have an elongated neck. Think like the bent neck lady from Haunting of Hill House. Very accurate. Yeah, so people were starting to pick up this image, the silhouette in the mirror, and it would have like two glowing eyes too, which is but anyway, uh Anne is not a fan of men being in the Oval Ballroom, which I can probably see why. Yeah, so when I was asking questions and stuff, equipment would start to go off and Chris would look at the equipment like, what? So I have to remind myself that he's not a regular paranormal person. Uh Literally just a regular guy coming to help his girlfriend at the time to, do this ghost tour, this crazy idea that she has. And yeah, yeah. Um, do you think your ghost house guests will be moving with you? So Madison is definitely coming, but Frank, my kitchen ghost, um, I mean, I had told him if he wants to come with us, he can. So, otherwise, we'll say our goodbyes, and they're going to be doing a lot of renovations in this apartment after we move, though. So, I don't know. He may end up coming with us, but he's been a wonderful ghost house guest. I mean, he makes himself known a couple times. Freaks Chris out, though. He does freak Chris out a little bit. But he calmed down after we said, "Hey, don't do that." uh, I hope Frank comes with us. Um, we've put the invitation out there, and we'll remind him, uh, in our last couple days in the apartment, we'll just say, "Hey, Frank, you can come with us. You're welcome to come with us to Virginia." So he's been good. Let's see. What are your dream locations you'd enjoy investigating? I used to say the White House, and now that I'm going to be like living close to there, I'm like, how can I make this happen? I would love to investigate, well, Bobby Mackey's, Waverly Hills, although I've heard Waverly Hills, their quality has gone down a bit. Yeah, it's, let's see. Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum for sure. Penhurst, Villisca, definitely Villisca. Definitely want to go to Villisca. That's a priority. Villisca is a priority. So, am I buffering again? I don't know what's going on with my internet connection, y'all. Okay, we're getting a little better. All right. Oh, thanks, Ash. I'm glad you love my books. Yeah, I enjoy writing them. I just love the paranormal. Katsuka, you found your boo. Nice. Ash, in your opinion, how many people or what size group do you feel is ideal for paranormal investigations? Okay, this is a good question. So currently my team has 4. I think that's the perfect number. So it's me and 3 other members. At one point I had like 10 on my team, and I think that was way too big, especially when most of them were like working on their mediumship abilities. It was chaos. I think now if you're at some of the bigger locations like Trans-Allegheny or Waverly or St. Albans, yes, you can totally do 10 people and never see each other the entire night because these places are huge. But for like residential cases, bringing 10 people on a residential case is just not feasible, or practical. It's not practical. It's feasible, but it's not practical. So I think 3 or 4 is perfect, because also having a team of like that's bigger than that, you also have to deal with availability and schedules. My cat has an opinion about that. You want to come say hi? Yeah? Let me see if I can get Zoe. Come here, baby. Yeah. Oh, baby girl. What was that? All right. Here's Zoe. This is my little fat baby. All right. Let me see, y'all can see her. Hey, can you look at the camera? Can you look at the camera? Hi. Hi. My little baby. Yes, this is Zoe, everybody. She's my fat cat. She's like 13 pounds. She's a big baby. She doesn't look that big though, but she's got a lot of muscle to her. Anyway, yeah, so Ash, that's a great question. So I think 4 is good, maybe 5. Yeah. Hey, what are you doing? You want to sit on my lap? Yeah, let's put you right here. There you go. So anyway, hi, I just bought your new book on Kindle. Oh, yay, Fairy Queen. Awesome. Which one did you get? I hope you enjoy it. Let me move my camera down a little bit. Let's see. What kind of spirit box do you use? That's a good question. So, all right. So I use one of the old school Shack Hack radios, like the old white Radio Shack radios. Really like old school. I would like to invest in a PSB 7 too, because I think those might filter out some of the radio noise a bit. But yeah, so I use the white Shack Hack radio that's like old school from like the early 2000s. But it's good, it's reliable, and it still works. So that's something I really like about it. Um Zoe, you got a shout out. Oh, okay, one bed over haunted hospital. Yeah, cool. That's awesome. I hope you enjoy it. Hope you enjoy it. The way Zoe is sitting right now, y'all, she is like, my goodness. That's my little girl. Uh-oh, can't get the camera back on. There we go. Ooh, a little bit of a ah, Zoe, baby, what you doing? Oh no. Uh, anyway, so yeah, that's fun. I'm glad I did this little live stream. Y'all are great. Y'all are great, and this is lots of fun. Let's see. Um, yeah, sorry y'all are kind of getting the relaxed version of me with like very little makeup on, ponytail, loose ponytail glasses, not my normal like made up fake eyelashes. I love false eyelashes though. They're so fun. Yeah, I mean, so probably for the next, when am I moving? I'm moving in early January. So probably for the next like month or two, um, content may be a little. Oh, you want to go? Okay, go. There you go. So my content for the next like 4 to 6 weeks may be a little wonky. I'll try to keep everyone updated though. I do have a video that I'm working on that I hope to get out next week. Also in December, I'm going to Hawaii for 8 days. So I'll have internet access, but I'll be honest, I don't know how much spooky content I'll be making in Hawaii, because I'm going to be enjoying some drinks and food and island living. I'm gonna try to go to Pearl Harbor though, but I'm vacationing in Maui, and in order to get to Pearl Harbor, I have to take another plane to Oahu. So I don't know if I'll make it to Pearl Harbor. I really want to though, because that's a big part of my family's history. Let's see. How do you know if you're being visited by a ghost? It's weird seeing me live. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So I hesitate answering this question for anybody because I don't know your house. I don't know what your life is like. So I guess I would say just think about think about what's going on in your day to day and how that's being disrupted and why you would think that's a ghost. Like for me, if I start hearing footsteps down the hallway, I'm going to start trying to debunk it. Like, could it be someone living above me, or um are the floor or something wrong with the floorboards? I would say um I would say just kind of look at your day to day and see what's being interrupted. Now if you have something that's floating in midair, or you're hearing a disembodied voice, then yeah, you probably are being visited by a ghost. But I would say just kind of really evaluate what's being interrupted in your normal routine, and why do you think it's a ghost and not something that's explainable? It's just using the critical thinking. So it's hard for me to say for sure, because if I say, oh, you start smelling different scents in your house, somebody could be dealing with that, but they're actually dealing with a brain issue, which has happened. There was a woman that was like having a stroke, and she didn't know she was having a stroke, but she was like smelling, I think she was smelling burnt hair. And one team actually told her that, oh, maybe there's a ghost that was burned alive. But no, it was, oh, you had a stroke. It was like a mini stroke, but yeah. So I hesitate to say anything like that, honestly. Like hearing footsteps, well, get your floorboards check. Lights flickering, call an electrician. So I would say, like, really try to debunk what's going on, and rule it out. Rule as much as you can out. It's just getting tricky. let's see. We have a creepy attic, and there's gotta let the cat. Really? Come on, let's go. Okay. Oh man, I've noticed every time like the internet's gone out, it's been after the cat like meows. So we have a creepy attic, and there's a noise in there. I guess what kind of noise is my question, but also, are you 100% sure there's no like vermin or animals or rats in the attic? Yeah, I would definitely rule that out first. Like, do you see any droppings or anything that could like hint that? Let's see. Let's go. Aw. Ooh, I'm sure I will love it, Alex. They say my local hospital is haunted, and I tend to believe it. Ooh, okay. I would say that after reading a book on ghost hunting, I feel I became a better investigator. Oh my goodness, I love it. Oh, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you got something out of it because yeah, that's wow. That's oh, you made my night with that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's awesome. That's amazing. Okay. You got the feelings. You got the feelings starting. Okay. All right. My computer is freaking out, y'all. My apologies. Um trying to I just upgraded to Windows 11. I wonder if that has something to do with it. Yes, Hawaii will be a party. Whew, I'm excited. Have there been places in North Carolina you have not investigated yet? I would say the Balsam in Biltmore, Mordecai. I'm more interested in Mordecai just to see if it's actually haunted or not. I have my doubts. Let's see. I mean, technically any place could be haunted. It's just I don't know. Okay, Ninjago could be a mouse or something. Yeah. Uh, yeah. I actually haven't done a full investigation of the Devil's Tramping Ground yet. I visited there finally, but I didn't really feel comfortable staying overnight because it was kind of sketchy, to be honest. A lot of graffiti and beer cans and mm, yeah, it's a little yeah, but yeah, that's probably like 4 or 5 places that I would like to visit. I mean, I'll be back to North Carolina though. I'm still getting married here because we paid all the deposits. um, I paid the deposits and everything, so I kind of have to. We have to get married here now. I don't know if I would even change the location if I could have because Arlington is so expensive. Arlington and DC, very, very expensive places. My rent doubled. My rent's gonna double. Luckily, I'll be compensated for it, but still, it's yeah. Yeah. All right, y'all. We got about 2 minutes left. So yeah, any last questions? Concerns? You should do streams more often. Yeah, you know what? I think maybe once a month or something, like, maybe because in that way, I only have to make 3 videos. Yeah, maybe, like, once a month or something I could do. I can do a live stream, especially after I move into the new apartment and I actually can decorate the spooky stuff office. Well, it'll be my regular work office, but I may have, like, a corner for the spooky stuff. Um, yeah, Fairy Queen. I talked about it earlier. So I got a new job in Arlington, Virginia. Uh, they basically gave me an offer I couldn't refuse. So I'm going to be moving up to Arlington, Virginia in January, second weekend in January. So yeah. Yeah. So that's the big news. It was a very hard decision because I love my current job. I love my current team, but the new job is going to give us some amazing opportunities, especially for like possibility of having a family and everything. We have a lot more benefits. So, yeah. Um yeah. So these streams are cool. I'll try to have Chris on too. Like, if y'all want to do a Q&A with Chris and see what it's like to live with me. uh yeah. Yeah, we could get Chris on here one night. That could be a talk to Mr. Spooky stuff. How did you start YouTube? I have a small channel with 39 subscribers. Really, I just made content. And I was consistent content. So it's just really just writing, scripting. I script out my videos. And then I used to be so far ahead that I had like 8 videos in the queue and I would just release them. But then and then I burned through my queue. Yeah, I would say just be consistent. Be consistent with your content. Pick a day and time to post and post weekly. I actually I used my website too to promote my videos, as well as my YouTube and yeah, yeah. So Katsuka, I just realized who you are. Think I just realized who you are. Ah, duh. I'm like, what? So, oh man. But anyway, yes. Oh, now I feel like an idiot. I was like, Katsuka, who is that? Why do you act like you know me? Duh. Oh, lordy, lordy. I won't out you though publicly. um he did not rat you out. He did not rat you out. So um yeah, Katsuka's 92. Yeah, yeah. Chris did not rat you out. I just figured it out. Anyway. Anyway, yeah, so I would say Ninjago, I would say don't do what I do and make videos like on the fly each week because then you end up doing a stream right now like me so that you're still somewhat consistent. Although since you all loved the live stream, I'm going to start doing it more often. I would say make like 5 or 6 videos. Don't publish them right away. Just publish them week by week. I find weekly the best way to do it, but you can also do every other week. So, and you're in high school, so and you got school, you got homework. So, yeah, I totally hear you. Okay. No, don't get Chris. Anyway. All right, y'all. Well, thank you all so much for joining me tonight. Thank you for watching the live stream. Comment on it, like it, share it. I don't know if people are going to want to watch me be on a live for an hour. So regularly scheduled programming will resume next week, and then we'll see what happens. If y'all want to see videos of Hawaii, then maybe I'll try to do some B-roll of Hawaii while I'm over there. So, all right, spooky crew, thank you all so much for joining me, and have a wonderful, wonderful night and the rest of your week. Bye, everybody.